Welcome, everybody. It is definitely the only time I can remember where doing this sort of work has felt like this. And I have had a lot of conversations with creators over the weekend, having more of those conversations today. And there are a lot of really important things, I think, to talk about in the wake of this Charlie Kirk murder. And one of the things I want to start with is this concept of condemnation. Anyone who knows me, you all know, I've already condemned Charlie Kirk's murder. There's no except for, but, or anything. We can talk about his political views. We can talk about whether we feel empathy for him, but I have condemned the murder, and everyone I know on the left has done the same. Every serious person on the left has done the same. MAGA insists that the left is cheering this on. And that's just not true, except in the most random anecdotal corners of the internet. The left has denounced this. Elon Musk, for example, retweeted some account with close to 0 followers saying something horrible. But the reality is that every notable left-wing voice, every major Democratic figure, elected officials at the state, local, federal level, every mainstream commentator, everyone has condemned what took place. Now, there are some people who have clarified. I don't feel empathy for Charlie Kirk personally because I found his political views vile, because of the damage that he caused, the disinformation, the bigotry, fine. But even those people have condemned the violence, and that is a really important distinction. You don't have to suddenly feel empathy for Charlie Kirk as a person to say unequivocally, with no mitigation, ifs, ands, or buts whatsoever, this kind of violence is wrong, period. And that is where there is now a really important contrast that becomes very stark. When the target is on the left, the right doesn't just fail to show empathy, which now they're angry about, even though Charlie Kirk himself said, empathy's not a great thing. The right not only lacks empathy when the targets are on the left, they mock, they laugh, and sometimes they even cheer. Think back to when Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was brutally attacked with a hammer in their home. And remember, of course, that they were looking for Nancy Pelosi. Donald Trump Jr. made fun of it. It was widely ridiculed. It was dismissed as not something serious and important to condemn. More recently, when the Minnesota House Speaker, Melissa Hortman, was murdered, a sitting Republican senator and a lot of MAGA commentators joked about it. When Joe Biden announced he had cancer, there were a lot of influencers who mocked him for it, or who didn't even believe it, or thought it was part of some conspiracy theory. And that's not even the whole list. I could just do an hour with examples. But the point here is they've laughed about all of it. They laughed, this is thinking back a ways now, but they laughed about Gabby Giffords when the Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot. They turned Hillary Clinton collapsing from pneumonia into a campaign meme. And they mocked John Fetterman's stroke, and they laughed at his debate performance when he was still recovering from it. And they jeered and cheered when Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And so over and over again, there's been this reflex of cruelty as entertainment, people who have suffered as the kind of punchline to jokes. And this is not new. This is a long-standing pattern. And yet it's been the right that has claimed that the left celebrates when bad things happen to right-wingers. Whether it was Rush Limbaugh's illness, Trump testing positive for COVID, any number of right-wing figures facing health issues, except it's not true. The reality is that mainstream Democrats and progressive commentators and all of us, we condemned those celebrations. We saw those and said, I hope they recover quickly. Go fact check me on it. Go back to my coverage when Donald Trump had COVID and was brought by helicopter to Walter Reed. You'll find that there was nothing gleeful or joyful about it whatsoever, even when these are our political opponents. And I know it's such a low bar, but this is sort of where we are. And it is the right that has consistently failed this empathy test, not the left. And now they have the audacity to say, where's the empathy? Where's the empathy for Charlie Kirk here? And so that's the real culture that we have to talk about. On the right, the cruelty is a feature. It's not a bug. And when they see violence, suffering, illness, even death, it's all fair game as long as the victim isn't one of their own. This is not the fringe that is doing it. When Elon Musk retweets someone with 0 followers saying something about how they're glad Charlie Kirk was killed or whatever, that is the fringe. When it's Republican senators and governors and presidential candidates and Trump himself over and over and over, you realize that much like all of the other ideas and policies and principles that they abandon when they're inconvenient, the cruelty is the entire point. And so now, when someone like Charlie Kirk is murdered, we have roundly condemned it. I have made clear, if you want to end gun violence, there can't be any instances of gun violence that you say you are even tacitly okay with. Just not a single one. We've all been extraordinarily clear. They want to act like they've rediscovered morality and like we are cheering something that we are not cheering about. Suddenly they go, see, look, this is what the left is like. But the truth is actually the opposite. We have consistently condemned it. They have turned violence into a punchline. Now, I know that when you look around online, it's actually difficult to keep up with every single element of this. And oh, who was this person and what did they say? Did they actually say it or did they not? So I think in a situation like this, first of all, I hate to say this, getting offline is probably a good idea. I mean, I have stopped even looking at Twitter. No matter what I say on Twitter, I glance at the comments. It's a complete disgusting cesspool. It becomes, me being Jewish becomes a focus, as if that has anything to do with any of this. I mean, it's a mess. So I do encourage people to get offline. But focus on what you can control, which is that I know you aren't cheering this. I know you are condemning this. And all we can do is repeat time and time again. They have cheered many times for this sort of stuff. We aren't cheering. We are disgusted and sickened by this.